Make me a good guy, not a woulda, shoulda, could guy. Make me a story from your mouth. Make me a villain now, won't that just be thrilling? No, make me a story
Yeah,
from
I'm a
your
bit tired actually. I fucking have, I was telling you I was getting up at 5:55 every morning for Christmas, and then suddenly uh, I'm sleeping, and I just don't want to get out of bed. Like it's beautiful in the morning time. Just going, I do not want to move out of the bed. I want to stay here in this lovely warmth and darkness, um, and so then I think as a result, but then I haven't been doing the fucking carnivore thing as much. And I've been back eating the sugar, so then I'm getting this little fucking wave of tiredness, even after sleeping 8 or 9 or 10 hours. And I'm not taking the melatonin or anything. Anyway, I know I've pressed record there.
And you've got that thing on your arse all the time as well.
What's that?
You've got that growth on your arse, remember? That growth thing that you're going to. You
Fuck
know what? We might
you.
as well get
I
it
was
all out
just
there.
fucking telling you. It was a terrible
We
start
might
to
as
the
well tell
podcast there.
everyone everything,
No.
you know.
Oh, I mean, I think maybe I'll get it removed. I don't have a thing on my arse. I'm going to
Just
leave
to
this.
be
I'm going to leave
clear
this out there.
to
I
the
do not
world
have a thing on my
at large
arse.
and the internet, I have nothing on my arse. That needs to
I'm
be
hungry
removed.
as well.
That's slander,
I'm
or what is
hungry,
it,
and I'm
slander?
hungry too. Ah, you poor devil.
Oh,
There's a Clint
so
Eastwood quote,
you're
which
not in a
is,
good place starting this
no, I just
podcast.
get it out of the way.
You're not
It's
emotionally or physically in a good place. That's a great
I'm
place to start the
tired.
podcast
Yeah.
then.
Clint Eastwood says, a friend of mine uses the quote, but it's when we go to the gym, and he says, "Don't let the old man in." And sometimes in the gym, when I go running at the start, I do feel like I almost have to shed the old man, like the tiredness, the fucking sitting at my desk, and I need to shed it. And then 10 minutes later, I'm in the zone and I'm fresh. The
Yeah.
body's like fucking,
Yeah.
woken up a little bit.
Yeah, I know it's just getting old, man. You gotta work a bit harder to try and get there. Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt about it.
Is
Yeah.
that what it is? Yeah, it's just
I don't
fucking.
know what it is, but energy. You could go. There's like that thing. You could go one way or the other. You could feel like a 20-year-old and be out punching a punch bag, or running up a hill, or it's a fine line. You could feel like you're tired and ready for the bed.
Yeah,
Within, whereas when you're young and just have all this energy. Yeah.
yeah. Well, maybe that's
I
it.
don't know what
It's
it is. Yeah, and you have to conserve and guard it a lot bit more. Like you said, if you don't
yeah.
get your sleep, there's no shortcuts around to it. Like,
Well, I've never, you see, actually looked at it, the idea of preserving or whatever. I never even considered that until you said that there, that I don't have, I'm getting old. Am I fucking getting old, man?
come here. You sent me a lovely thing. I'm just going to pull it up here.
You can go into any company, it doesn't matter who it is. It can be AT&T, it can be Ford Motor Company, it can be Stanford University, any organization. People are desperate and they're dying on their feet in a way, and they want to know what happened to their lives, and how they can move into something that's more satisfying and more real and more alive, above all, more alive. And this is where poetry is enormously successful. Because when you're talking about a subject with a room full of engineers, say Bell Labs or something, usually in a room, if you try and talk about very precious experiences, the more you talk about them, the further they go away. But with poetry, which is actually not about a subject, not about a quality or an experience, but is the experience itself, you can actually create that experience in the room, you see. And so you can say, look, okay, your organization and you yourselves as work teams are asking to change. You're asking for creative change. This is not new. Human beings have been asking themselves this question for thousands of years, for millennia. Many of them have been good poets and have left poems that have outlived them. They're immortal poems. And they're immortal because they speak to every human being in every generation. So here are some of the steps along the path. And the amazing thing is that the steps are very precise.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to start on the path, for instance, you say, what does it really mean to have really radical change in an organization? Then you can recite Dante's line from the beginning of the Commedia, which is nel mezzo del cammin di nostre vite mi retrovai per una scura selva. In the middle of the road of my life, I awoke in a dark wood where the true way was wholly lost. In the middle of the road of my life, I awoke in a dark wood where the true way was wholly lost. How do you know that you're on your path? Because it disappears. That's how you know. How do you know that you're really doing something radical? Because you can't see where you're going. That's how you know. But everything you have lent on for your identity has gone. And so you are going to enter the black contemplative splendors of self-doubt at the same time as you're setting out on this radical new path. And then, you see, if you can put this across, people suddenly say, wow, amazing, that's my life, there's something astonishing about my...
Because you just sent it 2 hours ago, but I'd never heard of, is it Dylan O'Sullivan, or is
No,
it...
his name is David White, actually.
Oh,
The guy
David
that
White.
spoke.
Now, I have heard about David White, actually. Few people have
Okay.
said, have you heard of David White? That name definitely rings a bell. Now, there could be another White. I know there's another
No,
White.
it's
That's in the non-dual.
White.
There's another
I
White.
sent you
There's
his
a Dennis
poem. I sent
White.
you his poem there too. His poem is
Yeah,
fucking
that's the one
lovely.
I was gonna say. I
Yeah.
mean, that is absolutely gorgeous, Frank.
I know that, yeah. I turned this morning, of course, picking up my fucking phone and pressed play on that. And I know sometimes, you know, the way you just go with your thumb, boom, past things, but I kind of went back to it. And then I listened to it again and again. I just loved
And was
it.
that your first time hearing that?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah. So you just shared. I was wow. Actually, you sent a thing before, which was an interview, and I thought it was beautiful what he was saying.
Yeah.
And he was talking about people in their kind of jobs they don't like, and this and that, they're looking for something, and then it just very resonant what he said. Like, it's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, it was perfect, really. Yeah.
and he was saying it's the collapse of this knowing a path, and
Mm.
the unknowing is it. I'm
Yeah.
paraphrasing now because that's not what he said, but it felt like that.
Yeah.
The all embracing aliveness of not knowing, and the adventure of that, and
Yeah.
it was I didn't, you listen to something and you think it's going a certain way, and then it kind of caught me off guard,
Oh,
actually.
totally.
It
Same.
really did. I was
Exact
like,
same.
wow,
Yeah.
look, that's stunning. What you just said there is
Yeah.
absolutely
I,
stunning.
I went down the rabbit hole there, then found that poem by him. And oh, yeah, it was totally the same. Like, really struck. I probably listened to it 4 or 5 times now this morning.
Yeah.
I sort of like it is funny, like, because, when you're younger, you kind of go, I know what I want to do. I know the path that I want to go on, and I'm pretty sure, even if it might have ups and downs, this is the path. And now I can't see I can't see in front of me.
Yeah, and
And I
you
almost,
reminded me now, that's what he said, isn't it?
yeah,
That's what he said. You know you're on the path when the path dissolves. Is that what he said, or
yeah,
something like
that's
that?
pretty much when I find myself alone it's a Dante quote that he leads with, and he reads it in Italian, and it's kind of beautiful. And then he says the quote is something like, "I find myself in the deep dark forest, and the path is wholly gone," or something like that. And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
he goes like, "Well, you know you're on the right path. Let's just say
yeah,
when the path is gone," and
yes. Yeah, pretty
that's
much,
just
yeah.
it's gorgeous. Really,
Paraphrasing,
really,
but it's that pretty much it, yeah.
yeah.
And that poem, like that line is the kettle, one of the last few lines is the kettle is singing even as it pours you a drink. The cooking pots have left their arrogant aloofness and seen the good in you at last. All the
Mm.
birds and creatures of the world are utterably themselves. Everything,
Unutterably themselves. Yeah,
sorry, unutterably, my apologies. Yeah.
yeah.
All the birds and creatures of the world are unutterably themselves. Everything is waiting for you. That was lovely.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we talked there recently about whatever shit that's going on, and you know, when we talk about this idea, just sitting and looking at a blade of grass, that's I think what he's talking about there in the same way. It's just
Yeah,
like it's not. It's just uh, the moment to be able to do that. Let's just say without anything else fucking going on. That's enough, like to look at an blade of grass. Or he's describing there about the stairs. Look at the stairs there, just and the doors that invite you to go in and scare you to open them. And
yeah,
that's sort
yeah,
it
for sure. Like, yeah, gorgeous.
it's a moment to describe what's missed, I suppose, what we're talking about really all the time. It's just the utter fucking gigantically enormous simplicity
Mm,
of breathe and talk
yeah,
and
just the
yeah.
isness, the absolute completeness, indescribable. The sense of being scared, of being terrified,
Mm,
the sense of every single like the in the way in the lines there, the inanimate objects. For
yeah.
me, it's like the way I feel is like sometimes it's kind of what he's getting at. I feel in some way, for me anyway, when I read it, is it's the dissolution of me and the kettle, and
Mm,
me looking at the kettle. And the kettle doesn't change. The kettle is still a fucking kettle. And it's
mm,
still boiling like a kettle boils. But yet it's life kettling
mm,
and the fullness of everything. And that everything is nothing. And it's
mm,
all just aliveness. I mean, you can't, and that's why poetry probably, like his that poetry there, it evokes it so strongly because it can't be
mm.
stated or described anyway.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful, yeah.
But I
Really,
really, I think that is what the childlike thing, the simplicity of standing in a puddle or s- looking at something so fucking simple or doing a drawing and the kid wants to put the drawing on the fridge and it's the most, let's say, basic. I remember Faye doing this drawing and like from a critical, say, point of view, you'd go like, I mean, that's work a little bit harder, lovey. Let's just say, right? From one perspective, and from the other perspective, I remember being so more enamored by her love of what she had done, uh, and her wanting to keep it and put it on the fridge, and just she just goes, "I've just nailed it there with that."
yeah,
And
that's
that
gorgeous. Yeah,
it is just so stunningly simple. Like
yeah,
we're talking about just and all the big adults who know everything about the
yeah,
world and how it is and how it should be and where to go. So oh, you just go, oh God,
yeah.
would you fuck
The
off?
tightness of the knowing, then of knowing how
Yeah.
to draw the picture correctly.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas the freeness of that, yeah, in that childhood, childlike wonder of freeness,
Mm,
and yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Mm.
And of course, it can't be
And
done. It can't. You can't. You could hear that, and you could go, "God, I'm looking at that wrong." Then I'm looking at the blade of grass wrong, or I'm looking at the tree wrong. I need to look at it better. But that's where I suppose what you were describing then is the absence of that. Then
yeah,
there's just looking at the tree, and also at the same time, there's sort of being mesmerized at the tree. You can't do being mesmerized at the tree or the blade of grass. And that's we're so used to every other thing being, here's what you need to do now. You're not looking at that tree correctly. You need to stand back, take a big deep breath, inhale, stand on your fucking left toe
yeah, yeah,
and observe the tree perfectly. And
yeah.
that's impossible. But that is the way of the world, really. I'm
That's
doing
true.
it
Yeah,
wrong. You're not doing it wrong. You're not doing it at
yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah. That's the sharing is just like as I think it was Tony Parsons used to say, like it's like showing you how to breathe.
Yeah.
Like it's this is breathing. How much is there anything more intimate or than breathing? Like it's like me talking, thinking I'm a teacher around this would be like me telling you how to breathe, not breathe in any fancy way, but just breathe itself, just
Yeah.
breathe anyway. Like how arrogant,
Mm.
what utter bullshit
Yeah.
is just fucking breathing,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then you
And
think,
concentration that you're not doing that right.
yeah, yeah,
That's, I think, really, and for some more than others, that whole you're not doing the right thing, like it just adds a rigidity and a layer on top of fucking everything. So, like you say, like it's like telling the tree, be a better tree there, and
yeah.
that leaf you just grew there, that's you could grow that way more fuller if you really deeply relax.
And then you'll be there. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. It's so seductive though, and it draws you, and that's it. Um, but it's fundamentally the communication is is another possibility, um, and it's about the agitation of there being you and a tree.
Mm.
Are you and the blade of grass? And then there's a relationship between you and the blade of grass and the tree, and you're looking at the object called the tree and the blade of grass. And if that's the way it feels, that's the way it feels. That's really feels that way, doesn't it? It
Mm.
really, really 100% feels that way. And then you
Yeah.
want to know what you can do for it not to feel that way, logically, of course. And
Yeah.
then you'll be drawn to people who will tell you, of course, you'll be drawn to people who will be teachers and tell you how you can um, dissolve yourself or find something or whatever way they put it.
Yeah.
But then there's just an openness, isn't there? Despite all of that, there can just be this openness and a resonance with the possibility energetically, and then that just plays out like it does.
Yeah.
And
I think
and
there you
all
can
in a way.
reach the point of that just sickness about being spoken to, like it's not sickness, but just the feeling of, oh right, sure, you know what you are, and you know what I am, and where this is going, and I think and how to get, and I think you sort of just. Well, it's like looking at headlines or advertising headlines and promises, and you at a certain point you're just going, "Oh, for fuck's sake, here we go again." It's another hook, another little.
It's an aspect of the resonance, I think.
Mhm.
An aspect of it resonating is this um, absolute clarity that someone who's prescribing something and speaking to you, that it's completely empty. If there's
Mm.
not, and that's the way I feel it is. And it's interesting. Someone can still feel like they're living their lives, but the energy of being told what to do with their lives in however way that manifests collapses, like you said. Yeah, just don't
Yeah,
want to be spoken to anymore.
it's like a bad food almost. It's just
Completely
suddenly that
energetic.
food
Yeah,
is, yeah, now that food, I can't eat that food anymore. I
totally.
can't,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what held so
Revulsion.
much promise and hope of something to come collapses. It can be
Yeah.
so devastating, actually, really sad sometimes for people. And
Okay.
that's the energy, isn't it? And it's just
But
not
there's
there
a real
anymore.
safety in that somebody knows, like that there
Yeah, the
is an
safety of it,
authority.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is the safety of it, yeah.
Mm.
Um, yeah. And just going back to the drawing and the child as well, it's it's you know, as you said, look at that, it's gorgeous and it is what it is. It's the simplicity of it.
Mm.
And as you grow older, the self critic gets stronger and stronger and stronger because
Mm.
energetically you feel like you get stronger and stronger and you're more in charge of your life and the decisions and the direction it goes and all of this because you're getting older now, you're getting closer to adulthood and blah, blah, blah. And then that can just ramp up to, wow, you're not good enough. You're not good enough in this way or that way. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you see,
Uh,
Faye actually gave up art. And I know she's naturally a creator. I just know because of the way she does things, the way she might wants to cook, and the way she'll do it slightly differently than the way it's done. And to me, that is just pure creativity. You know, she'll find a more interesting way to do the thing that she has to do. And it's like when she want to cook or she'll see something she wants. It's like that picture that she took on the back of the car of the ice. You know, those that thing I sent you on. Um, but she stopped doing art because she looked at what she was doing and compared it to what art looks like, which is, you know, a structure, a perfectly drawn face, as opposed to expression,
Mm.
just the pure expression, which of course can be honed. But that is like what I was kind of saying to her there the last day, you've given up. You're not going to do art and you've ruled it out. And I think you've ruled it out because of X or Y. Whereas art is expression and it
Yeah.
can, and actually the real simplicity, that childlike simplicity is there's a sort of a selfless, childlike, innocent bravery to art, let's say. Now I know you can fucking have it structured and you can learn and all that, but it's the bravery to do something that's so simple. You don't care. You just go there. There it is. There's the art.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you're not a lot of the more creative stuff you'd hear people, whether it's music or art or whatever, they're not doing it for somebody else.
No.
Um, I hear so many people saying, especially I listen to a lot of musicians, and they say, if I was to start making music for people, forget about it.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if they like it or not. You know, you'd hear that a lot.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
think
like,
that's
yeah, because it
fucking
just is
beautiful,
what
though,
it
isn't it?
is then. Because
Yeah.
if I'm starting to think of somebody and it turns into muck, then it's like, who am I? Who is this person? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, you
You
see
know?
that across all of social media, people seeing what success looks like, and then they want to
Yeah.
be what that success looks like, as opposed to.
Yeah. And then now you could get an AI agent and replicate its success
Mm,
and have similar to the point that you can have a cadence in your voice, a cadence in the manner in which we spoke about that years ago. I remember like a lot of people on YouTube, and if you know, under they'll mimic the really successful channels
mm,
and they'll speak with a similar cadence in their voice.
yeah,
And the manner to convey this information is done because somebody has found success with it. And
yeah.
immediately just want to turn it off. You're like, this is fucking boring. Um,
It just like the electricity thing. It's sort of
yeah.
got it's gone out of it.
But that I've noticed, Frank, I don't know if you've seen this, but I've heard a few people commenting that that's changing. Probably with AI coming in and how easy that is, that there's a thirst now for just people who are there's a thirst for more authenticity, I suppose, in the sense of
Yeah,
that's actually starting to rise to be more successful. Um, not that that
yeah.
really matters one way or the other, but
Well, I think so. I think some people do anyway, that's for sure. I think it's in the flavoring of it that you just go, it's sort of an agendaless, it's fresh. It has a freshness to it when it's
yeah.
authentic.
Mm.
Uh, I'd say it's rare enough, but then I don't know. I
But you
love it.
can't be inauthentic. You're authentically inauthentic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Oh,
gorgeous, yeah.
yeah, it can't be escaped.
Um, can't be escaped from, yeah. But
Wonderfully and horribly. Even trying to escape
yeah,
is it?
yeah. There's just there's an energy to another possibility. I think
Mm,
that's what it is. There is that um another possibility away from the whole main narrative that if you earn more money, you'll get there. If you're more successful, you'll get there. If you're famous, you'll get there. If you get the big car, you'll get there. Blah blah blah. All that
mm,
stuff is just and away from a narrative of good guy, bad guy. Um, these narratives were just spoon fed,
mm,
uh, shoveled into our mouths all the time. There's an energy of another possibility, which is also the energy of questioning of authority, isn't it?
mm.
It's one and the same energy, really.
Yeah.
Um, whether it lands on, say, someone who's a speaker in non-duality, or it's something I kind of feel I pick up on it everywhere, everywhere, every area you can get this, you know, a kind of an energetic shift away from this centralized controlling power to another possibility of completely open, decentralized, um, curious, uh, you know,
Yeah.
interesting, interesting,
Mm.
interesting, and how that plays out, I have no idea.
Yeah.
How it appears to play out doesn't matter, does it? And it's always
Yeah.
been playing out like that. Yeah.
I think the kings and queens won't give up that too easily, but I think that people might just ignore it maybe. It's so hard to know, like, that leaders, I think it just depends, yeah. Like, I mean, on then the other hand, you've got new kings being born and some coming back like the Trumpy, and people think it's everything's going to be saved on the back of it. So, um,
Yeah.
it's both like it's the polar extremes of it becoming more and more tight, and at the same time, you've got these other movements that are going on away from that, you know. People are
Yeah.
called out from trying to beat the big dogs. It's like in Bitcoin world, really, that there isn't really it's a meritocracy in a way, nothing to do with anybody having any sort of great power, and people just contribute. And
Yeah,
if
it's
these and
interesting. Yeah, it's decentralized, uncontrollable. That goes across all sorts of areas.
yeah,
That possibility is already there.
mhm,
And it tends to be more creative, doesn't it? Um,
mhm,
let's see how it plays out. Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah, that like that it's kind of like that poem,
mhm,
you sent me, that sense that you need to know where you're going and follow a path that is deemed to be the correct path. Like,
yeah,
I mean, that interview he gave, he was talking about how you go into these companies. It was funny because AT&T was one of the companies. It shows you these were top companies at the time,
yeah,
and the times change, and these, boom, boom. But
yeah,
anyway, you go in and people are just fucking half alive, or not. He didn't say that, but they're dying in there, like, and
mm,
they're looking for something that just feeds them a bit more substantially, and it's that's what I felt he was saying. It's like this collapse and letting go of a sense that I need to find a path that you can tell me the path, and that's the right path, and I know I'll be on the right path. And it's actually the loss of the sense of even needing to be told that there is a path, and the
yeah.
full on aliveness of that unknowing. Then,
I
um,
think the timing of that there is just gorgeous.
yeah,
Sometimes you hear things in a way both obviously struck both of us there.
yeah,
Because like you said, basically you're stepping into this unknowing where all your he uses words like all your usual sort of identity tricks are of no use, and I sort of love that too. Like it's just it,
that he did say that actually. That really, he nailed it,
yeah.
man. It was
So the
so,
timing of it is just gorgeous now, really.
and what he
Fucking
said was so beautifully, clearly non-dual. No, I hate that term non-dual, but it
yeah.
was bang on.
Yeah, it's really it
Without
was.
really not, without thankfully using any non-duality language.
Yeah, it was the
Uh,
flavor of it, and
the flavor of
he
it, yeah,
repeated the sentence twice, which I sort of he does that in that poem there, but
yeah.
especially in there. I mean, I probably have to include that really because in this podcast, or I'll send a link. Maybe I'll put a link in the description or something like that, as opposed to because it might.
Yeah, well, if it's on something that can be shared, you can check if you can share it without any. If it can be openly shared, you could add it, couldn't you?
Yeah, okay. I wonder. Yeah, I sent it on to somebody else who wasn't on Twitter. Um, so
Yeah.
maybe built it up now. And I love the reading of Dante's thing, the sort of musicality in that, almost the way that was spoken, that line by he read it in Italian or whatever
Yeah,
fucking language. What language did Dante speak? I don't
I don't know.
know.
I don't know much about him.
Don't know much about Dante either. He wrote about hell anyway.
Something about hell, yeah.
Yeah,
Dante's Inferno.
Dante's Inferno, yeah.
Hmm. But it is like that poetry, that the sense of what's trying to be conveyed is very poetic in that sense, isn't it?
Mm,
There's a um, otherness to it that,
mm,
like poetry, it's you're conveying something, and it's in the immediate reading of the poem and the energetic resonance of it. That's it, like
mm,
rather than a piece of prose in which you're kind of more analytically taking on some kind of knowing. It
mm.
evokes something. Uh,
Yeah, it's definitely charged again. Well, I think of poetry in that way, that it's sort of a sudden expression that comes out that doesn't have to have a structure or a form or a whatever, but maybe that's more prose. Maybe I always just find it sort of a moment. Uh, I remember going through a phase of writing a lot of, I don't know if they were called, you'd call them poems though, but they were definitely expressions.
yeah. Yeah, I used to write a good bit as well, actually.
Mm.
Well, it's such a free form now, it doesn't have to be
You know,
so
in a
structured or
structure.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It can be utter shite too, but that's okay.
Well, that's it. That I mean,
It's all
and
right,
it's
like,
like that. That's what I sort of like. There's no rules, and it's like what I was describing with Faye. It's like that picture. It's like, well, I really like that. I've reread that 50 times, and I actually really like it. There's some on my blog, on my website, and I go back to them. I go, I really like that.
yeah.
You know, so uh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a bit like that too. Yeah, I really like that. I think it's I think it might be because I don't feel it's mine anyway anymore.
Mm,
So when there's not that sense that you've done it,
mm,
you can be surprised by it in a
yeah.
very fresh way. Of God, geez, that's really gorgeous. As if
Mm,
in the same way as if someone else did it,
yeah.
because you kind of the feeling that you've done it isn't there. So
Yeah.
then it's like, wow,
There
that's
isn't an
beautiful.
attachment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Or sometimes I'm like that with the music. There can be this narrative of, whatever it is. Because any musician, or, I don't wouldn't call myself a musician, but
Oh,
there you go. That's an
there you go.
example.
Here we go. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, all you can hear sometimes is the mistakes, or
Yeah.
the all you can feel is the way you can't get in, you can't get to that chord actually from this chord. You
Mm,
don't have the ability, like, and even though you've tried, it's not happening, or
mm,
whatever it is. And then, but sometimes then I just hear and I go, wow, that is absolutely gorgeous,
mm,
you know,
lovely.
but it's not yours anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Mm. Unless it makes a lot of money. Then it's both of
Oh, then
ours.
it's then if it's I
Then
like
it's
that.
both of ours.
If it makes a load of money, I'll be getting this formal letter through the door about how sorry now, Kenneth, but we actually co-wrote that song. And
Remember your friend Frank when we had coffee that time?
yeah,
At least
I
backstage
like that now.
passes. Do you know what I mean?
It's
You know
both
what I
of us.
mean?
Yeah.
I'd be expecting backstage passes, even if not getting royalties.
Yeah. Well, that first song that I wrote, I came up with the lyrics, but it wouldn't have happened without you. So in a sense, that's a co-written song
What was
because
that now? What was that?
if you remember, I called up to you and we said, let's just write a song. That's it. We're just going to write a song. I brought the
Okay.
guitar, and but then I had this line, and then I kind of came up with it. But we were playing it together, and then I
Mm.
went to the shop, and on the way down, I went down to Lidl. I walked down to Lidl, and I came back, and then it just was there. The rest of it was there as I came back from Lidl. Um, but
Mm.
like that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't sat down and said, let's just write. No, we're doing a song now. Like the next 2 hours, we're doing a song.
Yeah, I suppose it's
Really
like
interesting.
it
So
is,
that
but
it
it's like we
technically
talked
it's a
about this
co-written song.
actually. We talked about in the first podcast though about how suddenly something can just click, and then you just go, "Oh, I want to fucking that," or there's an urge to create, or one fucking small idea there that sparked, and then you simply could not let that go. Whatever happened, you were a dog with a bone, and you were changing and changing and chopping and changing. It
That
was
was the
not.
second. Yeah, that was the second song. Yeah,
But
that
even with that one,
absolutely.
yeah, whatever formed, it kept going and refined and refined and
Oh
refined and refined.
yeah,
It went,
similarly. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was on and on and on. It was amazing, really. It just, and then it was okay, yeah, okay. But it's like that little piece there from your man this morning, sort of, I got that feeling of going, oh, fucking, just creating is so wonderful. I don't know what that will look like, but I sort of have that urge, you know.
Yeah, because that's in essence is just that explosive creativeness that is a mystery and is not to do with you, nothing to do with you really,
Mm.
which is what people try to think they can kind of access or get in and out of, and experientially they feel they do.
Yeah.
Um, but in essence, it's all singing the song that there's no separate you anyway. You've never been there.
Mm.
Um,
Isn't that amazing?
like if someone takes to the stage and sings a song, kind of under underlying everything is the invitation that there's no singer and no listener.
Mm.
Some musicians talk about that too. Um, remember Keith Jarrett talking about how what the audience doesn't understand is that I'm as much the listener as they are
Mm.
because I don't know where it's going. I'm actually actively listening at the same time. And then
Mm.
he said when it's really good, like what when it's really good, there's not really a me and an audience.
Mm.
I think it's can be very and it's as well, it's just such a it's so energetic and music itself is resonance.
Mm.
It's that's yeah. But I guess it's the same throughout any of the kind of creative endeavors, yeah.
I'd say you'll have an album by this time next year.
Maybe.
We're not placing a bet on it, though, are we?
No.
Fine, fine.
I used to there used to be some older men where I grew up, and I used to always think sometimes you do a lot of hitching. You probably did a lot of hitching when
I
you were
did,
young as
yeah.
well.
Loved it.
And you get in and you got out of the car sometimes, and I go, that was fucking pure poetry, like pure
Mm.
poetry. But they're dead and gone now, and nobody ever read anything by them or hear anything by them, and they never wrote down a word, and it was pure poetry. And
Mm.
that's the way it is, There's a lot. I mean, what I'm saying is there's a lot of so-called creative stuff that's never even seen as creative stuff. Just someone telling a story. It's your man, the way he tells stories, or
Yeah.
you know. But I guess that's what a lot of creative people are picking up on. Anyway, is or the an openness to seeing the poetry and the way that person's walking. They have a certain kind of gait. Yeah.
But it's like that thing
the
where it's like
isness
it's
of everything.
yeah, well it's I think it's either that openness, it's like what I was describing with Faye when she walks out the driveway
Yeah,
and the car is on her right hand side. Now you sort of have to stop to look at the design, but you definitely can't be, you're not thinking about trying to do that. But the body obviously can just suddenly stop. And like the two boys would walk by, didn't see it. Perhaps Nuala would walk by, didn't see it. Perhaps I would have walked by, not seen it. But Faye's whole body stopped
mm,
and then went on and enjoyed looking at it and enjoyed so much that she wanted to take a picture of it. And then I love that
mm.
she sent it on to me.
Yeah, yeah,
But that's that openness that's it that is obviously you can't be made. I mean, it's certain behaviors or perhaps can be, but I don't really think so. Just that the way it's like an instinct then to look upon that and then to see it in a certain way and go, wow, that's amazing.
yeah,
That's that openness that it's the same for you'll hear someone talking or you'll hear a story in a certain way and you just go, fucking hell, like that's beautiful.
yeah. It's the constant song that's been sung, um, and the one that you can't hear and you can't imagine because your
Mm.
imagining of it is
The song
something other.
is also the song.
Yeah, it's also it too. Yeah,
Yeah.
just the way things are appearing to be. There's trees there stirring, and the wind is picked up, and the light's a certain way, and the way that you see them from the sense of view, the
Mm.
difference, or the way you, and then inherent in that, the way you want them to be,
Mm.
and how it could be improved, or blah blah blah. But it's impossible because there's either a you there that feels they're looking or there isn't.
Mm. Yeah, the song that I sort of like that song idea that it can't be heard. The song that can't be heard. Get a bite to eat.
Yeah.
Do you have for breakfast?
I didn't know. I was a tiny bit before I jumped on with you, but I'd eat again.
So
Might
you
eat
did
up.
have a bite to eat for
Well, I
lunch?
just grabbed a bit of leftovers. I didn't have a sit down meal, Frank. No.
Whatever. Eating's cheating. I think it might
Mm.
do some, yeah, a bit of bacon and eggs, I think.
Mm. I had a nice drive this morning through the burn. The light was gorgeous.
Yeah.
That
Did
place
you get
is
any,
nice.
did you stop for photos or anything? That's the place that your residential maybe, a retreat maybe?
Yeah, I think yeah, it's great. It's nice. It's all on site. It's in a beautiful place. Nice accommodation, nice rooms, great food, I'm told.
Okay.
So Keolog is crack then in the evenings and things to do. They do courses, mushroom foraging and stuff,
Oh, wow.
and
Lovely.
DIY courses. And so we'll do meetings in the morning, and then we'll do something, and then we'll have sit down, have a meal. Yeah, so it should be nice.
And what time of the year will it be?
September 8th
Okay,
to
so
12th.
the mushies will be out then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think I already said a few people signed up, and they were like, "Yeah, the mushroom foraging sounds good." So,
I do like when if you get a good stash and they cook them up straight away,
have
you
you done
know.
one of them courses?
I have done one of them. I did a day out, and it was a very wet day, and she brought all her own food. I was sort of looking forward to uh, tasting the wild mushrooms, and we just didn't have that great of a stash. We actually got I think we spent ages talking about the Amanita muscaria one, and you wouldn't be eating that on that sort of trip. But I suppose I would have loved to have eaten some of the fresh ones. The other guy who was in Dublin, who I spoke to years ago, I did a podcast with him. But he does them, and you can see him. He gets a huge haul. He goes out to some forest and he cooks them up. And
Oh, I
fucking,
saw him. Yeah, he's in the
man, they
woods and he
look
has his pan,
delicious. Yeah,
loads of butter in the pan, cooks
yeah,
them up there, and then
yeah.
yeah, well, whatever we get, we'll be cooking back in the place anyway.
Okay, lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, there's an outdoor kind of fire pit, so I'm thinking a bit of barbecue in there as well.
Okay, lovely. Yeah, nice time
Mm.
of the year too.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it'd be good. I'll
Warmer.
tie it all together now. And
Mm,
um, September is lovely in Ireland, and the burn
yeah.
is always great. So
Mm, that'll be lovely. And how long are you doing that
that's
for?
what I was doing.
Is it
September of this year, like so
how
8 to
many
12.
days?
Oh, Monday to Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's only two residential so far. Germany, Kisleg in Germany in June, and then that in Ireland. So um, you'd be more than welcome now to pop in if you were around.
Mm,
Mm. Yeah, it's
thank
hard to
you.
it's
Mm,
impossible to capture. Like I wish I was thinking, oh shit, I should have brought my camera, my good camera. But you can't. It's just you just appreciate it. You know, the burn is beautiful. The light, the way it hits the hills, and
yeah. Sometimes it can be annoying having to take out the camera and start taking
yeah,
pictures of it.
sometimes, yeah, yeah. Mm.
And you
But
won't
that's
get it like
you
it
can't get
won't
it
capture
anyway.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it won't. No.
But it might be nice to show the location, do a video of it.
Yeah, yeah,
But the burn is class anyway. That's
yeah. It is.
there'd be
Yeah, it's
great
gorgeous.
walks around there too, if I
Yeah, so
remember
that's the
correctly.
idea. Like loads of kind of. It's not far from Lahinch, beautiful
Oh,
beach,
gorgeous. Yeah.
and yeah. So we'll see. No,
Yeah.
be good. And could do it every year. Then September,
Mm,
maybe. Who free fall, Frank? Who knows what's
yeah.
gonna happen?
Who fucking knows? Like the start, like that thing, that little video.
Yeah. Mm. Hmm.
Mm.
That's the story.
That's the crack now.
Shinny.
Sinead stories.
Shinny. Yeah. Sure.
Okay,
I'm
well, I
talking
think I
just.
will include that little clip anyway. I'll
Well, just
include it.
check it on YouTube
Mm.
if you can. Yeah, because
Okay.
I think it tells you if you can, if there's any copyright thing on it.
I saw it. It
or
was
you can
on
share.
X that I saw it, but sure it's on YouTube. It's
You
so
know more
you're
about
saying
that
that
than
it'll
me.
say copyright thingy on it.
I think there's a way of checking, yeah, and that's why people can share certain stuff. Like, for instance, when you put out a video, you have to click a button that it's remixable or not. So someone can download you and show you your video. Do you ever pay attention to that now?
I don't think I do. I sort of vaguely know what you're talking about, but I don't really.
Because if you don't do that, then nobody can, for copyright reasons, they can't show any of your video on their video.
Well, I remember there's somebody taking them at one point, and I didn't mind, but yeah, I think
But
at one
then
point then
I
it did
might
piss
go
me
to
off.
not, yeah, well,
Uh,
what they could take it out of context too as well. Is
Yeah,
one thing they could take it out of context and something said could be taken out of context. But also, I must think about it because, well, we're not big enough to be worried about it, Frank. But
no,
I think if you could have these AI agents that just run and they just use your video, and they could string a load of different types of video together, and it's just an AI thing. It's just a program someone uses, and then they get all the advertising revenue.
yeah.
I don't think that's
I
happening
don't,
with us
I
anyway.
don't think we need to worry about that.
We're
But
not
yeah,
important enough to be included in
no,
any kind.
no, no.
Frank from Dublin, Ireland says he's a speaker on non-duality, and here we have him saying
Non-duality.
non-duality, and he speaks about the stunningness of everything being nothing. Here we have Frank, but fucking AI. Yeah, you get some food, and sure, I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk to
Good
you.
talking to you, man.
Likewise, big dog.
All right.
Take her, Andy.
Make me a good guy, not a woulda, shoulda, good guy. Make me a story from your mouth. Make me a villain now, won't that just be thrilling? No, make me